you just said that Jimmy Butler was a perimeter shooter, and I love Jimmy Butler to death. I really do. He's one of my favorite players in the league, one of my favorite teammates I've ever had, but I think that's the first time I've ever heard someone describe Jimmy Butler as a perimeter shooter.
I think he can shoot perimeter shots. Okay. Hold on, wait a minute. Jimmy Butler's, all his points don't come from finishing at the basket. We've seen him hit plenty of perimeter shots. He can do that.
What does he shoot from the three? What is percentages?
Well, I'm just saying a jump shot. You trying to tell me Giannis is the same quality of jump shooter as a Jimmy Butler? You saying Jimmy Butler's that bad?
I'd have to look up Jimmy's numbers from the mid-range. I would, but Giannis shot over 42% from the mid-range this year, which is well above league average.
Oh, my God.
And Jimmy shot in the 20s and the threes from three for the last
First of all,
2
Jimmy
years.
Butler missed some time during the season. Let's take that into consideration. A lot of times.
What did he say?
Jimmy Butler missed some time during the season. Let's take that into consideration. A lot of times.
What does it have to do with his shooting percentages? Jimmy Butler has basically decided to not shoot threes. Now, he's knocking down threes somewhere in the 30s during the playoffs.
His numbers.
He's not deciding. He basically stopped shooting threes.
I'm not dismissing his.
To wake up.
Well, first of all, JJ frowns at all this stuff like he's scaring somebody. He's scaring no damn body. I appreciate the suit.
I'm not trying to scare you, Stephen. I'm trying to debate you, and I'm trying to point out how erroneous you are sometimes.
I don't think I'm erroneous. I don't think. Well, first of all, it's very rare that I'm erroneous. So let's keep that in mind, because you wouldn't sit across from, you wouldn't waste your time sitting across from somebody who's erroneous that much. So we know better than that. So that's a lie. Number one. Number two, let's take into account the fact that because Giannis is coming downhill, a lot of times he gets wide open shots because people are literally daring him to shoot because they don't want him coming to the basket because they know how unstoppable he is close to the basket. If there's anybody, I challenge you, since you're so big on analytics and you so bringing up the numbers, how many open perimeter shots does Giannis get? Simply because people are praying he takes those shots and they'll take those chances. They don't even contest them 90% of the time. He's shooting a jump shot because they're so petrified of him getting to the basket. That's an eye test thing. Numbers don't tell every story. Not every story.
I'm talking about mid-range pull-ups, mid-range turnarounds in the post. I'm not talking about three-point dare shots.
We talk about that with Giannis, too.
I'm trying to think of a time in the playoffs when I didn't see a contested mid-range shot from Giannis. I disagree with you on that. By the way,
go back
I'll
to
have the numbers for you by the second hour. Don't worry. By the second hour, I'll have
you'll bring me all the numbers. You'll bring me all the numbers, and I won't give a damn about the numbers because I actually watch the games, too. You understand? I watch the games. So I didn't say you don't. I just said you're talking to somebody who does watch the games every night. But a lot of times when we think about MJ, for example, and obviously he's the one person that draws those comparisons, what ultimately comes up short is the level of fear that was instilled in you. You didn't mess with MJ. You didn't come at MJ like that. You didn't do stuff like that. People, and I'm not talking about Isaiah Stewart, I'm just talking about period in terms of opponents and how they come at you. You believe that you wondered what you was going to do about this. With LeBron, you believe you can take him. You believe he can be had, whether it's because of the teammates around him, the system he's playing in, the people that, whatever skill set you bring to the table, et cetera, et cetera. You just view him differently. And throughout the years in covering the league, those are all the things that I've consistently heard. I'm talking fear factor. Fear factor. That's just not something that has ever been associated with him.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Go ahead, man.
There's a lot to unpack there.
That's why you're here.
First of all, two of the guys you brought up in that conversation.
Yes.
Kobe.
Yeah.
Got two-pieced by Chris Childs.
Yes, Chris Childs.
Michael Jordan got the hell beat out of him for years by the Detroit Pistons. So they challenged him physically. To say that LeBron, who's won 4 championships, multiple league MVPs, made the finals 8 straight years, to say he's not feared by players?
Not feared.
I don't know whether to believe that you believe what you're saying.
I do believe
that's crazy.
Well, it's not crazy. It's not.
That's crazy.
It's not crazy, and you know better. You know better.
But hold on. When has there been a situation? If you're talking physical confrontation.
No, I'm not. Listen.
Physical confrontation.
Listen. Well.
If that's what you're referring to, nobody's ever challenged LeBron like that. Why would they?
Nobody could challenge him. I forgot who it was, the center that played for the Chicago Bulls when he shoved LeBron to the ground, pushed him to the floor when he was in Miami. But that's neither here nor there. What I'm saying to you is this. If you watch the game, which you do,
I played the game, Stephen A. And I played against LeBron in the playoffs.
Okay.
And I've played against LeBron. I played against LeBron for 15 years.
You fear what he could do. Listen, you fear what he can do to you on the basketball court because nobody could ever question the greatness of LeBron James. But what I am trying to say to you is that you look at him, there's certain things with MJ in the era that he was in. I've spoken to Isaiah, I've spoken to Dr. J, I've spoken to Kareem, I've spoken to Magic, I've spoken to other folks. There's a culture that existed in the 80s, into the 90s, into the 2000s, or what have you. When you look at LeBron and you compare him to some of the preeminent superstars that have played this game, when it comes to fear, that's one of the differences.
Do you mean because LeBron's more accessible, like in terms of the personality, and where MJ wasn't like one of the buddy guys?
That could have a lot to do with it. What I'm saying is, we're talking about the greatest player who ever played the game, which I believe to be Michael Jordan. And a lot of times, when you delineate the difference between the two, whether it's Michael Jordan or it's LeBron James, they're talking about a fear factor. There's just certain things you knew that you wasn't going to do to MJ. You could come to MJ on the court, but the things that people have done, the way that they've talked about LeBron James, the way that they've come behind him in the media, behind his back and stuff like that, you hear stuff 30 years later about MJ. A lot of times you didn't hear that kind of stuff going on because there was a level of respect and fear that LeBron, I shouldn't say respect because LeBron has always been respected. Yes.
Stephen A.
Yes.
Hold on a second. LeBron has grown up in a completely different world that existed in the 80s and 90s. Mm-hmm. There was no First Take in the 90s. Could you imagine in the New York Knicks series, LeBron or MJ going to Atlantic City the day before the game and coming home at 2 a.m.? Social media, this show, it's all you would talk about for days.
No.
For days.
No.
Yes, it would be.
No, not on this show. Not this show. Because as far as I'm concerned, listen, let me tell you what I said back there, because I'm glad you brought that up. Michael Jordan went out and gambled, right? And Michael Jordan, hypothetically, I guess it was in the millions or whatever, he might have lost. My response was, you have any idea how much money Michael Jordan's worth? What do you care? Mind your business.
But what does this have to do with fear?
No, I'm just bringing you up Atlantic City. I'm saying the point that I'm trying to make.
The reason people talk about LeBron, though, is because he lives in a 24/7 news cycle.
They would have talked about anybody,
and
it would have been just as bad, if not worse, for MJ, no doubt about it. But I'm talking to you about respect and fear. There's no question. We ain't talking about respect for LeBron.
And I'm disagreeing with you completely.
And so you're saying,
there's no credence to Stephen A's argument, JJ.
So you're saying that the people like that, the fear that Michael Jordan instilled in people, that's what LeBron did?
Yes.
Okay.
In a different way. I mean, you're comparing two different things. To say that his peers don't fear him, opposing coaches don't fear him. Do you think people want to go into a playoff series against LeBron?
No, I'm not talking about basketball. I'm not talking about basketball. On the court, I'm acknowledging his greatness. What I'm saying to you, the way people talk about him, the way they look to attack him, and I'm talking about contemporaries in the National Basketball Association. I'm not talking about his performance on the court. That's not what I'm saying. And by the way,
who's attacking LeBron? Who's attacking LeBron?
I'm talking about over the years, people that have come at him. Come on, JJ. I got to go to my archives to look this up. I would
love from a play. Find me a player, more than one. Right. Find me a player who's attacked LeBron. To answer your question, Luka. I think the answer is Luka here. That's not to say I don't trust Steph in the clutch. The reality is he's 10 for 51 this season in the clutch from three-pointer. Luka has more game winners for his career. Pat Beverly knows this better than anyone. He's got a game winner in the playoffs, a little step back three. I think it's Luka. I think the size matters. The ability to make passes if he gets double teamed because of that size matters.
Yeah, that's not.
I'd rather have Luka.
This is a very small sample size. It's only been what we've talked about earlier, 4 years. So it kind of be hard to kind of give him a crown of that after 4 years. All the work that Steph's put in, all the work that he's changed the game, literally changed the game. I got to go with Steph Curry. Easy, cool, easy, not even close.
Stephen A., where are you?
I agree with Patrick, with Bev right here. No. Let me explain something. I've always been a fan of JJ Redick because I always loved his ability to shoot the ball, particularly on the move, and I just love that about him. And I consider JJ Redick to be one of the great shooters that we've seen in NBA lore, to be quite honest with you. There's a few up there with you, obviously, but I've always considered that, and I've told you that years ago, long before you ever came on TV. I consider Steph Curry to be the greatest shooter God has ever created.
Ever.
And a lot of times people talk. And they talk about him like he's somebody because he never captured a finals MVP or something like, this dude, he ain't getting it done. I will remind everybody, not just about the 3 championships, not just about the 5 trips to the NBA Finals. I would remind everybody that Steph Curry is a career 26-6-5 player in the postseason, shooting 45% from the field and 39.8% from three-point range. That's the career postseason number of Steph Curry. This brother is the greatest shooter God ever created. He can shoot from anywhere. The corner, the wing, the key, 20 feet, 30 feet, 40 feet, 50 feet. He can shoot with his eyes closed or wide open.
What's wrong,
he can
JJ?
shoot falling away, standing still. This brother is the greatest shooter ever. Ever. And then, by the way, the free throw line, you're talking about a dude that's a 90% free throw shooter. We look at Luka. Luka's pressure. Luka's big time, JJ. Luka's big time. Nobody's taking anything away. And obviously, as his career continues to ascend, we'll see his postseason prowess just continue to evolve and elevate. No shade on Luka whatsoever. I was watching y'all on Get Up an hour ago. And what's the thing you said, JJ? I mean, you're complimenting somebody, but in the world we live in, that means you throwing shade on somebody else. You're absolutely right. It's utterly ridiculous. I'm glad you were willing to call your contemporaries out with all of this sensitivity training that they evidently need, because you can't compliment somebody without somebody else taking it as an insult. We're not throwing any shade on Luka Doncic whatsoever. I'm simply elevating Steph Curry. And I'm telling you right now, when I talk, you got to remember, Luka will hit clutch shots. But over the course of a series, what's his percentage going to be shooting from the field? What's it going to be from the free throw line? I think we both know Steph Curry is a more reliable dude than he is in that regard overall, and that's why I'm going with Steph.
Surprised that the Celtics came back in this series?
Not at all. I thought they were the better team, and this series really showed 2 things. Number one, Milwaukee needed Chris Middleton. Their half-court offense was terrible in this series, and they were going against the best defense, not only in the regular season, but in the playoffs. 80 points per 100 possessions in the half-court. So much was on Giannis's shoulder in this series, and they couldn't get anyone to have offensive output at an efficient level. Jrue Holiday did not have a good series. This was all on Giannis's shoulder. They needed Middleton. The second thing is Milwaukee's defense. I don't understand the strategy of allowing Grant Williams, a 41% shooter in the regular season, a 41% shooter from 3 in the playoffs, to have 17 standstill looks. I'm not including the 18th one because it was a bad catch and he threw it up at the end of the shot clock. 17 line you up, practice shots, 9 feet away, average distance closest defender when he caught the ball. That is ridiculous.
I understand why.
Why?
Because they were still trying to recover from what Jason Tatum did to them in Game 6.
They didn't even close out, though.
I'm saying that's what the hell happened. You had Budenholzer so petrified that Jason Tatum get going that he sat up there in game plan and said, "Listen, make sure he don't shoot. Damn it, we'll work out everything else. Let's make sure let anybody shoot but him." And he scared the living hell out of them because of what he did in Game 6 in Milwaukee, and they were punch drunk from it, and they didn't recover. We've seen it a lot.
They even put 2 on the ball with Petrick. If you see some of the highlights, they literally putting 2 on the ball with the guy Petrick. If I'm a coach,
Pritchard.
I don't care how you say his name. Pritchard, Richard. I don't care.
I was like, who is that?
Yeah. But they put they put the 2 on the ball with him.
Right.
Like, come on, man. What type of defense can sustain that throughout the whole game?
No question.
But this was their defense all year. They're going to give up a ton of 3-pointers. I get your point about the overreaction, but Bud has never overreacted in the playoffs. He's said, this is how we're going to guard, and we're going to guard this way, and we're going to do our system over and over again. And we're going to rely on Wes Matthews and Jrue Holiday to make it tough on teams.
Okay.
And they had some success in this series. Game 5, they had success. Game 1, they had success.
Well, there's a couple of things.
So I don't buy the overreaction. This is just how they guard.
You can say you don't have to buy it. I don't buy it. Damn it. That's what I'm doing. That's number 1. Number 2, they did shoot 4-33 from 3-point range. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget the fact that Grayson Allen had no business on the court. He was a disaster in this series. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget the fact that Bobby Portis didn't have a good game yesterday either.
Who's the first person you named?
No, Grayson Allen was feeling.
Who?
No, let me finish.
Man, stop. Why are you naming these people on your show? They get no
Because-
play in our locker room in the NBA.
No, I was pointing out that they didn't produce. They didn't produce.
Duh.
Giannis, but wait a minute. Giannis kept kicking the ball to him. The fact of the matter is they had no choice because Middleton wasn't there. Drew Holiday did not have an effect. Can I mention him? You gonna tell me not to mention him?
He had to take all this energy and
okay,
guard.
I understand that. I'm not faulting him. I'm just saying what happened. The point is, I'm just naming a multitude of players who had. Listen, I'm just
Wes Matthews.
Anybody that
who we gonna name next?
Anybody that the Greek Freak was kicking the ball to, who were wide open and missing shots.
I got a question for you. If you're the Milwaukee Bucks,
if I'm
last summer coming off a championship, would you be willing to give PJ Tucker 2 years, $15 million?
Yes, I would.
Yes.
Like the Miami Heat did?
Without question.
This series, to me, speaks to them not bringing him back because they had to play big. They had to play big, so they didn't have him on the floor. They don't have any wing depth because Middleton's out. Drew's exhausted. They've got Lopez guarding shooters on the perimeter. Them not bringing PJ Tucker back was going to bite them at some point. Absolutely, and it bit them in the series.
So when you say them, so that's because sometimes y'all like to say words that sometimes our viewers don't understand.
The front office, the team.
There we go. Let's just say. Okay, so if the front office would have did their job, basically what you're saying, and brung the defensive player and PJ Tucker back, they would have had a chance.
It would have helped.
Okay, well,
it would have helped. I'm not saying he would have solved their half-court issues, but some of this sort of lack of versatility defensively, wing depth, having to have Drew Holiday take on a bigger role on offense and having to guard Tatum or Brown, plus having Lopez Portis on the floor at the same time. Like, you can go small with P.J. Tucker. Grant Williams maybe doesn't get those threes in a Game 7. That's all I'm saying.
I appreciate the breakdown. We all know they should have never let go of P.J. Tucker. We said that when they did.
Pay him.
When they paid the man.
Pay him.
We said it automatically.
Pay
it was a stupid decision, especially when you just won the chip.
Pay him.
You just won the chip. And part of it was, listen, regardless of the numbers KD put up, for example, you saw how P.J. Tucker was going against, how much he made him work. You can't minimize that. You don't let go of somebody like that. That's what they did, which is why I brought up Grayson Allen. That was one of the reasons they let him go. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.